you have an idea, even if someone thinks like no one's gonna care about that, because that's the reaction I got at first when I tried to say I want to teach adults how to flip, as a business. They were like, huh, okay. And even now, like I still get that reaction until I like, we've hosted 200 classes, we've sold over 2,000 tickets at this point. Don't let anybody tell you that your idea is too quirky or too weird, or keep being weird, stay creative, stay different, push the envelope, and don't give up.
On this day, 6 years, no, I don't know if that's true, but like roughly 6 years ago, we started this show. We're in year 6 now, Tim.
It is really
Mr.
crazy
Ryan.
to think. And yeah, a lot has come from it. We've told a lot of stories.
Yeah,
and
some true.
Yeah. I don't go out of my way to tell a fake story, that's for sure. But
I know. I'm the embellish.
I've
embellish. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. If I made a mistake, my apologies to you all. But
we've been waiting for you to say that
intention.
for 6 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It finally happened.
But I mean, it's been a super fun journey. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a platform where founders can tell their story, share the ways that they've succeeded, share, and as we've discussed many times, it's a play. You learn more from failures than you do from the wins. You don't look back and be like, wow, let me analyze how I won this game. You go back and watch the tape, so to speak, on ways to what you did wrong and how you can improve. So this is a platform for founders to share that.
I believe the way that you analyze your winning is you bet again and again, see if you win. Because if you win,
right.
Even when you like, sometimes you just got to bet $100 on black. You just got to go from there.
I don't know if I would ever have the guts to do something like that, but
same. I don't know if I would ever have the guts to do something like that, but sometimes you're just feeling it, and you're just like, you know what? Like, I feel like we're at that point where you just got to do it.
Yeah. My hat's off to those that do and win and are there to live to tell the tale.
There you go. Sanele, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys?
Good. I dig your glasses. Those are phenomenal.
Thanks.
Those are.
This is my glasses debut today.
Oh, okay.
Those are new.
Yeah, I wear it's just to crispen some things up a little bit, and I didn't realize how much they crisper things have become by wearing them. Now when I take them off, I'm like, oh, this is how it used to be.
I recall the first time I got glasses, let's say a decade ago. I put those suckers on and I was like, whoa. So this went from like like, you know how like they show you like those drunk goggles things,
right?
That you put those on. It went from like that to like 8K. I was like, damn, like what are we even doing over here?
I've been wearing glasses since I was 3, so my parents found out very early on that very bad.
Well, I've gone full circle. I glasses very early, had LASIK, however long ago, and now
you had LASIK?
Now I'm just getting old, and the LASIK was awesome, but it ran its course.
So can you get LASIK a second time?
I was just about to ask that.
I think that you can, but like now, dude, this is super embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's just this is life, right? But yeah, I have the. It's not. I've just blanked out on the name, but these are not bifocals, but they are the.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, dude. So I need glasses to read and to progressives is what they are called.
Wow.
That's the world I'm in now. The world I'm in now.
Wow. So in 6 more years, you'll have the rec specs on, you'll be playing racquetball because racquetball will be back because pickleball will be done. I mean, this is great. We got a lot to look forward to here,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
So you were never a contact kind of person? Either of you?
I was. Well, are you talking to me, Zach?
Either of you.
Yeah, I was until I got LASIK.
Got it.
I had my contact phase in high school because like as soon as I was allowed to get contacts, I was like, I'm no more 4 eyes, no more of this. But then I think up until like 23, I started to kind of feel like, you know what? Glasses are actually kind of cute. And then I
You're
started
rocking
getting
them.
all fancy and expressive with my glasses. So then I'm
Mhm.
like, now I actually prefer my glasses.
It's part of the vibe. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy.
Aesthetic.
I'm part of the 17% that can't swallow a pill, and I also don't think I could get a contact in my eyeball
Oh
because
yeah.
there's no way. Because when they put those little drops in to like dilate them,
Mm.
I'm like, yo, we need to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I freak out.
That is step one. You have to be able to touch your eyeball with your
Yeah,
finger,
no,
or
that ain't
else
happening.
contacts are a
Remember that
no-go.
person that used to be able to like Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura when he did that? Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
To be honest with you, Zach, I'm that person as well. It took a lot of tries before I could finally master putting in contacts, and I still get it wrong
You know,
sometimes.
I just don't even want to try it. I'm not interested in that.
Fair
Like,
enough.
I don't want to know what it feels like, what the
They're
eyeball
not that
feels like.
cool. You're not missing out on much. They're not that great.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate your honesty in there. This is a business show, allegedly, but we're just talking about eyeballs. So you were at the Startup World Cup back in August?
Yes, I was.
Did you catch a shirt?
No, I did not.
Were you afraid of the lady who threw a knife?
I
A
was.
scalar?
I still got that
somewhere.
It made me a little nervous.
Yeah.
That was
It
not
was
part of the
entertaining.
script.
It was entertaining, though. I was entertained.
That was an unscripted moment for sure.
I think the whole thing was unscripted, if you really want to be honest. Like, the only
We had
thing
a
that we
general
really knew.
idea. We had a general idea. But that
That's
was
all you
quickly thrown
need.
out.
All you need is a framework.
We knew the order. That was about the order of people talking. Well, and then some people just decided to just randomly show up and get on stage too that we didn't know about, but we were in the background. Like, that was wild.
So you I guess you didn't realize any of that stuff, but I know backstage, Zach and I were looking at each other like, who's this on stage? We have no idea.
That is hilarious. I mean, is it really like a big event if you don't have unplanned things happen?
I mean, it's like Kanye and Tay-Tay, you know? I mean, sometimes you win an award and Kanye doesn't like it and he gets up there. You know, I'm all for it later, to talk the story. But that night, I was like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, where am I? Like, it's crazy.
Listen, sometimes a little rogueness, it gives texture, to the story, to the situation. Now when you play it back, when you guys had your debrief, because you got to have the post-event debrief, I'm pretty sure you guys had a lot of moments.
Yeah, well, we one of the things that we look at, we are always very big on celebrating successes, no matter how small or you may think they are. You have to celebrate successes because entrepreneurship is a really, really long journey, and we'll get into that with you. But one of the measures of success that I have learned over the course of doing this for 14, almost 15 years now is like, you're onto something when elected officials want to be at your event because they know that they're going to have some eyeballs and some ears listening, and a good politician is not going to miss the opportunity to jump on that platform and spread their message. So that was the case at the Startup World Cup.
Shaking hands, kissing babies.
We're always glad to have their support, but that is a measure of success. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to attend.
Absolutely. You guys slayed. You just got to take that. Yeah.
How did you get started in your entrepreneurial journey? What made you think that you would want to even go down this crazy road?
I just had an idea. I honestly started my business on accident, if I'm being completely honest with you. My very first tumbling class, it literally just came from me personally wanting to take a tumbling class because I did competitive cheerleading and competitive gymnastics all of my life from age 6 all the way until 17. And, I was missing it. I was about 21 at the time. And I went to search for like classes for adults and there was absolutely none. And I was just like, who made this rule that like after 18 or after 17, like you're not allowed to practice tumbling or learn how to tumble and things like that. So honestly, that's honestly where it birthed, just because I just wanted to do it for fun. I had no intention whatsoever on starting a business, to be completely honest with you. I was, at the time, I was working at a local gymnastics facility called Hurricane Gymnastics in Chesapeake. They've now changed ownership, and I think they're now named Evolution Gymnastics under different ownership. And I was a tumbling instructor there, and I went to the owner and I just kind of like asked him, like, hey, can I host a class here, but for adults? And he gave me a chance and was like, sure, here's what it's going to cost, and make sure everybody signs a waiver. He was very clear about that part.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Like, before you attempt your first tumble, do you have to do an evaluation and be like, you do not have the flexibility to even attempt to be doing something like this?
Well,
So,
what does flexibility have anything to do with this, Tim? Like,
well, I don't know. Sanele, tell us.
I would think that you have to get your eyes checked first.
Well, I mean, I can't go up and down stairs without my whole body creaking and cracking.
Can you do a cartwheel?
So the thing is that people don't realize is everybody can tumble to some capacity. Like, I'm not saying
tumble. Tumble.
Get a couple of beverages
we can all
in
fall.
the
That's
old
what
Timbo, and I'm tumbling and stumbling, and probably not in the way that I should be.
So the biggest key when you're teaching adults versus teaching kids how to tumble is the warm up. And when you come to an adult tumbling class, an adult tumbling 7x7, you'll notice our warm up is like 20 to 30 minutes long, just because like that's what really sets adults up for success on, beginning their tumbling journey. And you'd be surprised how much you can do. Our biggest demographic are usually people who've never tumbled before and have always wanted to tumble, and like people come with their like moms, and they're learning how to do cartwheels, and you really be so surprised what you can do. I think our oldest participant has been 67. Granted, he's like a hot yoga instructor, so he was like in better shape than all of us, but there is no limits to what you can learn when you have good instruction.
Okay, so hot yoga, the thing, not an attractive hot yoga instructor. I just want to make sure we make
yes. Okay. Context. Hot yoga, the activity.
Oh, Tim, we can't hear you. Come on, man. Can't hear you, Tim. You're on mute. Oh.
Know that I was muted, but I appreciated that clarification, because I thought literally you were calling this person hot.
No. No, not to say that he's not a great looking person. I'm just saying.
Okay, so now we're backtracking a little bit. So really, it's a hot yoga instructor. I got it. Okay. Okay, so I'm 41 years old. First time I've said that out loud.
How does it feel?
It feels the same. I watch wrestling, which is basically an adult soap opera. Obviously, you see,
and they do a lot of tumbling.
They do.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. And I think they choreograph and warm up a lot for that reason, because, and they're taking some pretty pretty crazy bumps. So like their whole thing is like, tuck your head, I guess. So like,
yes,
I've never done this, but like I've watched enough where they like, I guess when you hit the mat, you're supposed to like shoulder blades out, and then you're supposed to tuck your neck so that it doesn't hit, even though it is kind of like foamed, I guess, in some capacity. But like, I get it. I get what you're saying about like the warm-ups and all that stuff. Like you're trying not to break a bone, tumble.
Yeah, and
do you take any inspiration from wrestling?
No, not per se. I do like martial arts.
But well,
I've done jujitsu. I boxed in high school, so I'm definitely into the martial arts. And we do get martial artists who come to class. There's the pipeline from acrobatics to martial arts is very strong.
Huh.
And to give some context, like I graduated from ODU and I got my degree in exercise science. So a lot of my instruction is kind of based on the things that I learned in school and things that I learned at my internship. I interned at a sports performance facility, which is also a local business called First String Sports, located in Norfolk. They specialize in sports performance training for all sports, but they really, really are well known for football. They've gotten 13 dudes drafted to the NFL. So I had the opportunity to like really learn a lot about body movement, and like, the limits that the body has kind of through that experience as well. So I took that information, was able to, bring it back to teaching the adults. Obviously, I have my experience of teaching the kids. And then I also worked at a facility called Stretch Lab. It's a one-on-one assisted stretching studio. Literally, like, you just come in and you get stretched. And having kind of all of that knowledge, all of that background and things like that really helped me like build out the mobility instruction like really needed to keep adults safe.
I saw that this stretch lab opened by my house. It seems kind of ridiculous. I mean, is it like it like?
I mean, it feels good. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude,
Like,
I need something like that in my life. I feel like I'm an old, dried out leather belt, just ready to snap.
listen,
wow.
like I like it better than massages. I'll say this: bring your wallet. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh
Bring
wow!
your
All right,
wallet.
Good.
now I'm back out.
Yeah, $75 for a 10-minute stretch session. That sounds obnoxious. I don't know what the pricing is, but
It's a
Do
lot-
you
it's
have
more than that?
do you have aspiring wrestlers that want to learn how to tumble? I'm just
Absolutely. So, believe it or not, like the Hampton Roads actually has its own acrobatic community, that are filled with people all the way from adult gymnasts to break dancers, contortionists, there's stunt doubles. It's a very, very niche pocket that you wouldn't really be aware of unless you kind of knew about it or were in it. The facility Hurricane Gymnastics that I mentioned before they switched ownership, they had this thing called Open Gym. And Open Gym, they allowed adults to actually come and practice during Open Gym. And it was the only facility that you could find Open Gym practice for adults from here all the way to Richmond. So even with Adult Tumbling 757, we're kind of the only organization that offers instruction for adults all the until Richmond. Richmond's like the closest thing that offers instruction for adults. But yeah, like you come to Open Gym at Hurricane, there's the calisthenics guys that are doing like all types of flips and things off the bars. They got the free runners in there, the parkour guys that are like doing all their like tricks on sideways, like skateboarders come in there to learn new tricks. I have actually met, like, I don't know if he's in the WWE, but like he does that style of wrestling.
Zack
And
would know.
yeah, I don't know exactly like if he's in like a league per se, but he was one of those I don't remember his name.
Oh Lord.
I have to find his Instagram. I don't remember his name, but he was a cool guy. And he is into stunt doubling, WWE, and it's a very, very niche, I mean, contortionist. I mean, it's a very niche community.
I almost feel like we need to give you a moment to you can find this Instagram handle so that because Zack and I can just talk amongst ourselves quickly to find out who this person's name is.
There's WWE has this new show called LFG, Legends and Future Greats. I also like the LFG kind of mindset because that could be used as a different way. But there is an individual, a male on this show. I can't think of his name either, but he's from Chesapeake.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I feel like he was a track and field runner at Florida or something like that. That just started a couple weeks ago. Pretty interesting kind of insights into like becoming a I guess the whole thing is like becoming a WWE athlete.
Yeah. Well, dude, I tell you, man, I when Drew, my son, he would play indoor soccer, and we would do that at Body by D. But and the other,
and
so
work
Body
done.
by D had one half that was the gym. You had another half that was an indoor soccer field, and then like there was another little nook where they had like a boxing ring / wrestling ring, and like there would be people just practicing
Yeah.
over and over and over again those moves, from the top rope and suplexes and all that other stuff. You don't really think about how much practice needs to go into making sure that you don't hurt yourself.
Oh yeah, it's a
I
lot.
do. I think about like, so speaking for yourself. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible what these people can do.
No, it seriously is. And like, I've with adult tumbling, I've had the opportunity to teach people from scratch how to do a backflip. It's a very rewarding experience because people always come in like, you meaning to tell me it's not too late for me to learn how to do a backflip? And the answer is not. It's really not. Obviously, it's gonna come quicker, for others. But it's never too late, and it's always such a rewarding experience teaching someone who's never done gymnastics before, never taken a tumbling class, and taking them all the way to being able to do their first back handspring.
Wow.
And it's a very rewarding experience just because I think there's something special about adult learning. I think in our society, it's not something that's promoted as much. Like, if your activities aren't surrounded around making money to pay your bills and taxes and, whatever else it costs to exist out here, it's kind of like not deemed as important or as a thing that you should focus on. So it's always so awesome when there are things that are specifically for adults to take time to learn things for them, learn new things for themselves, kind of re-sparking that creativity, like getting back into the things that made us feel like a kid. It would be cool, like seeing some of the moms and they're like, my daughter's currently in gymnastics and she's learning how to do a cartwheel, and now I'm here learning how to do a cartwheel. And I really think there's something special about that experience.
And I'm just thinking back when we had a trampoline in our backyard, and like our kids at the time, they would
Did you
jump
do a
on that
backflip?
thing for like hours. And like that thing, yeah, I just remember like not as young as I once was, and we would be jumping on that, and I would be, it would burn some calories. It was, after jumping on that thing for 10, 15 minutes, but I never went down the backflip world. I could do the front flip still, but I had a bad experience with the backflip on a trampoline as a kid, and I didn't want to go down that road. I'm assuming that if there was like a foam pit or something that I could do that in, then I could learn or revisit that.
It honestly comes down to, tumbling. There's the physical aspect of it, and then there's a huge mental component to it. So it's very common. Someone, does a backflip, has a bad experience, and then never does it again.
Yeah, that's me.
Especially when like that's not your trained sport. Like you're just casually trying backflips. Personally, if it wasn't for like my trained experience, I would never be the person to casually try a backflip. Like I'm not that gal. I'm not her. I have to like think about things a lot before I try them, and like trying a backflip with no instruction would never be on my list. But really that anxiety is normal. Like that just means your brain works. You're a lot of times with tumbling, it's you versus you, and your brain is like, wait, if we do a backflip, we're gonna land on our neck. Let's not do that. And with teaching tumbling and learning how to tumble, you have to overcome that, and you overcome that with technique and actually knowing what you're doing in air. So when you have a bad experience, doing a backflip, and you don't have that instruction or the technical know-how to what you're doing, you're absolutely not going to want to try it again. But when you can kind of like work through, like this is what went wrong, I didn't have a bad experience just because all backflips are going to be a guaranteed bad experience. I didn't tuck my head, or I didn't do this, or I lifted my leg too soon, or different things like that. And that's usually how people, you're able to kind of mitigate that. And also too, like coming to like class where you have one, mats, foam, trampolines, like different things that assist you. And then you have a spotter, so we spot in class and things like that. So that way it's not like you're trying the backflip for the first time, like unassisted, just, you got guidance.
Yeah. Well, I really dig the thought of making adults feel like kids again. There needs to be more of that in this world. So I dig that.
Absolutely.
Until the adult is like me and just acts like a kid. So I mean, there are caveats to the situation.
There's just so much stress and pressure in this world right now that to feel like a kid again is super cool.
No, for sure. And when you think about it, like kids aren't much different from adults. And I feel like I learned that a lot too with starting Adult Tumbling 757. Like, I would tell everyone to get in a straight line, and like the adults would respond exactly like how the kids would. They'd be all like, a straight line, like, what do I do? It's so interesting, like seeing how adults are really we're just big kids. Like we started off as kids. We're just bigger humans. They're littler humans, and we're just bigger humans. And I feel like, I definitely feel like we need more of that. I think everybody would be a lot happier with that, and like being able to kind of release those endorphins and like run around, play, jump around, and things like that. No one's too old to play. And there's also like research that backs like how playing, whether it's playing music or creating art, that kind of activity of playing video games, different things like that, even hanging out with your friends, going to a football game is a version of play, and I feel like those kind of things all do really good things for our mental health. And I think in today's society, it's treated as like, if you get to it, if I can fit play in, I'll play, because, real, bills and taxes and
a lot of pressures.
Things. Yeah, that's what matters more. But I love like creating a space where, holding space for adults to play, and you show up here and that's your only job here today, is to play, have a good time, get out of your shell, learn something new, giggle, fall, all those good things.
I'm curious what your take is, or are you just having fun with this right now? But like, what's happening? You are defining a brand new category that has never existed. And so like, do you view that as a challenge, or do you just, hey, I'm just going to have fun with this, and then whatever it turns into, I'm grateful for that? But like, there's a lot that goes into creating a new category.
For sure. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like that's a really good question. And to give you guys some context, I'm 26 years old right now. So I don't really I feel like being in your 20s, I'm still figuring a lot of things out about myself, as well as life and how everything works. And trying to kind of like map out my future. What do I want to do with Adult Tumbling? One, from a mission brand standpoint, and then two, from like a business model standpoint as well, because I think that's the hardest part, is tying in the mission of this and then making it make sense from a business standpoint. I know you guys already know that play, but it's been difficult because it's one thing when you're coming into a space where people already know they're already familiar with it, right? Like they know what to do with this. Like if you come and you say, hey, I'm teaching a yoga class, people know what to expect. Or, hey, I'm teaching a dance class, people know what to expect. Hey, I'm teaching backflips to adults. There's like, whoa, what if someone breaks their neck? What if this? What if that? And there's been a lot of barriers, red tape, and things that we've had to overcome to be able to create this kind of space. Shout out to Tony Hampton, which is the former owner of the former gym, Hurricane Gymnastics, for honestly just being progressive and just taking a chance on it. When I first started, Hurricane Gymnastics was the only gym that would let me teach my class there. I pitched to every single gym. I mean, I sent cold emails, cold calling. I showed up in person to these gyms, drove out to Suffolk, Newport News, like any gymnastics facility in the Hampton Roads, and was like, hey, can I teach my class here? And every single person told me no. Every last person told me no. And, they all had the same answer, like, no, we don't, the insurance. It always came down to the insurance. And it's a lot. It's expensive. Our insurance is expensive. It's expensive to insure acrobatics, past the age of 26. Getting insurance and things like that, it helped me understand why more gyms don't offer it. But what it really comes down to is a lot of these gyms, because they feel like there's not a market or desire for adults to want to do this activity, they don't think it's worth paying for that.
That's the whole thing. Creating that market is really tough. I mean, I'm just like thinking about like pickleball. Like no one knew what pickleball was however many years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries in that now.
Right. But that's the whole thing. Is like they created something to find a market, there's a lot of injuries as well. So it's I don't know.
Insurance is really quite the conundrum, if you will. I got a buddy opening a pizza shop, and I can't recall if there is one, but he is not allowed to have a fryer. And the reason is because the strip mall is insured a certain way. And if they add a fryer, that changes the insurance for the entire strip of the buildings in there. And it's really, he's just not allowed to. And so I was at a different strip mall the other day. That's what they call them, right? Where there's like 10, 20 location strip malls, whatever, something like that. You know, the multiple bays of businesses. Yeah. And someone in there was like, I was telling them about Donut Dugout. And they're like, we would do that, but we can't have a fryer. Insurance won't let us, or something like that. Or the insurance changes the ballpark. And so it's quite annoying in a way how insurance can dictate some of these businesses on something that you'd like to do in the location that you want to.
For sure. So
yeah, man, that's definitely a challenge.
Insurance adds a whole layer, to things, and it gave me a lot of context on why more gyms don't offer it, because especially like with the gymnastics facilities, with the cheerleading facilities, it's a little different. There's different insurance for adults doing tumbling versus adults on the bars and on a balance beam and things like that.
Wow.
There's extra insurance you have to have if you have more than one trampoline in your facility.
And this is totally, even though there's waivers and everything else, it just still the headwinds.
Yeah. And, we've found a little bit more success with the cheerleading facilities, because cheerleading facilities don't tend to have all these extra equipment in the facility. Their insurance is a little different. But most cheerleading facilities kind of required to have the insurance. That makes it a little easier to cover adults tumbling. Now, if I was teaching gymnastics classes for adults, it would be even another layer of insurance. And it's also one thing when you're trying to insure like a team. I want to give them a shout out real quick. Virginia Beach Adult Gymnastics Club. They're a new club that started about 2-3 years ago. And they're an actual club where you can join and compete. There's a separate insurance when you're insuring like a club where there's no coaches. And then there's a whole nother insurance when you're insuring instruction. And that's really where the trickiness comes in, because, you know, with the insuring a team, it's more of like, I don't know exactly all the way the mindset behind it. I guess it's, no one's liable because no one's really, coaching or guiding it, versus, you know, when you're ensuring instruction, it just adds a whole nother layer to it, because it's now you're gathering people saying that you're going to be liable from taking them from point A to point B in this, type of activity. And, and under a lot of underwriters, they just won't cover it. They won't write it. They don't even want to, like, when I was applying for insurance, there's about 3 insurance companies in the country. And correct me if I'm wrong, somebody watching this.
I think that is accurate, though. That, yeah, they all roll up into.
Yeah, and a lot of them they refuse to underwrite it. And us sticking to the lane of tumbling makes it a little easier, because they're a tiny bit more lenient when you're only sticking to the floor apparatus versus adding, bars, beam, and things like that. So yeah, that's so when pitching to these gyms, like, that was always the main objection. And on top of that, I'm especially coming as my own business entity. It's one thing if I work for the gym, because I'm insured differently as a coach that's hired through the gym. But as an independent entity, they have to trust me, they have to trust, how I run my business. They have to trust how I run my classes, how I instruct individuals, that I'm not, going to get people injured and things like that. So it was a huge barrier to overcome at first. It took us maybe a year, 2 years before we were able to break out to teach in multiple different facilities. The next gym that was the very first gym outside of Hurricane to take a chance on us, shout out to them because I love them. I love all the gyms that let us host, but Coastal All-Star Cheerleading in Virginia Beach, I think they're off First Colonial. They were the very first gym out, and they had told me no at first, but they came back a year later and they kept getting requests for people wanting to take adult classes. And they could have easily offered their own adult classes, but instead they reached out to me and was like, hey, let's partner, and you can host our classes. You can host your classes here. And, I've been hosting at Coastal for, I think, going on 3 years now. Had a great relationship with them. Super, super awesome. They took a chance on me. Another thing too, when you're Gen Z owned, you also then have to break past the barrier of like, who's this 23-year-old
whippersnapper?
Yeah, this young whippersnapper, coming in here and, going to do X, Y, and Z. But I will say Coastal, they've been very open, very progressive. I think I don't know how old the owners are, but the owners seem a little bit on the younger side as well. So I think that also contributed to them being a little bit more open. And the way, how competition the market is, like, once one gym let me do it, then the next chair gym.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask that question to you. Like, do you go out and are you searching, using the Google machine to see what other places are starting to offer this, and it's just catching on?
For sure. Now, in the 7-5, like in the Hampton Roads, it's not as big of a thing because, this is my personal opinion. I think sometimes the Hampton Roads area can be a little slower to market when it comes to things that are a little bit more.
We are not an early adopter community.
Thank you. That is the term I was looking for. And when you go to areas like DC, or like New York, Atlanta, the South, especially in particular, because the South is like a really big in cheerleading. So like Atlanta, like Georgia, Texas, California, all very, very big cheer states. When you go to Texas, in each city, I could find a couple of gyms that offer this, you know? Um, even in Richmond, there's only one facility in Richmond that offers it. But Virginia in general is just a little slower to this market, but it's happening and it's growing. It's something that it is becoming a thing. And I feel like I'm excited because I feel like I got in on it on the very, very, very early end of this kind of offering. And I think the thing that makes Adult Tumbling 757 really, really unique compared to when you see this offering at any of the facilities across the country is we only offer our services to adults. And that is something that we're super, super strong about, super, super strict about, because you can go to any gym and find tumbling classes for kids. People reach out to us all the time. Do you guys do kids? No, we don't, because we want to keep our branding for adults. We want to be able to play music that's for adults.
What about a mature kid?
18 and up.
No,
an immature adult.
18 and up.
Yeah,
18. Right. So now this is where insurance comes back in.
Also, okay, so that we've defined an adult at 18 now. Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
Yes, because insurance, I would have to get a whole nother layer of insurance to then have kids in the class as well, especially if I'm going to have kids with adults, because I think this is a great opportunity for adults to come and not feel like they have to be mindful of how they're impacting children around them.
So you're saying when they are cussing, because inevitably it's going to take 77 tries to do this backflip that I'd love to see Mr. Ryan over here attempt. I'm not trying it, I don't have LASIK, I don't have bifocals or progressives or whatever, progressives. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of cuss words going on in this place because people are ticked. Okay, I got you. But then when they get it, it's
then there's excess right of euphoria, euphoric.
Yeah. Okay,
and it's like even because in our class we have music, we have our playlist. I try my best not to put a whole lot of cursing, because just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean you have to use profanity and adult language. But even our marketing it's not geared for kids. It's not for kids.
Is there a number one hype song that your go-to hype song
that we play in class? So anyone that comes to class knows that you're going to hear Jersey Club mixes. So we always have it'll be like a regular song with like a Jersey Club mix, and I always try to play at least one or two Hampton Roads based artists.
What is a Jersey Club what is it called? A Jersey Club remix?
Listen, I have some homework for you.
Okay, wait. So do I have to get like my hair gel on?
No.
Do I have to become like Pauly G and like GTL? Like get ready, like.
No, I can't wait.
Wait, hold on. You've seen us live, okay? So you know that we're gonna we're the same people all the time. Like we don't just put on a show. Like this is what we do.
Listen, show up as you are, okay? Show up as you are.
Nah, fake it. I'm gonna roll up in.
I would personally be thrilled if you decided to get your Pauly G on. Pauly D, my bad. Personally. Get your
show up to the World Cup 2025.
Dude, we'll be coming out doing how funny would that be? We show up, we're doing somersaults and cartwheels, and as we roll out to the stage.
I'd have to wear not as tight of jeans because I don't need those ripping on stage.
I mean, that could add comedic relief.
Well, you're right. It could. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know where we were with any of this, but so I coached a swim team for 9 years, and 150 kids. I feel like is the number, which means 300 parents, right? Assuming they both have two, and the parents were the hardest ones to deal with. The kids were fairly easy to deal with. Parents, not all of them, but some of them were real PETAs, if you will, and not PETA. PITA. Just want to make sure I get that
We're
clarity
not
here
talking
in the
about people
in
for
the
the
cap.
ethical treatment of
Correct.
animals.
Correct. Shout out to them, right? Let's make sure
Shout
we
out
get
to
those
them.
in. But so I coached them, and so the parents were always difficult. Now these are your customers. Is it difficult to work with them? Do you feel like maybe you've never, because you said you've coached kids too, and so
Yeah.
my guess is when you're coaching the kids, the parents are kind of over, being like, oh, do this, because they're experts, right? And they know how to do the double backflip off of the whatever majig, right? So like, do you see there's a difference in there whatsoever?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. So to give you context, I coached kids for 4 years. So even when I started adult tumbling, I was still coaching kids at the time. So I have a lot of experience in coaching kids. I absolutely love coaching the kiddos, and really got my footing in teaching tumbling instruction specifically from coaching kids. And yeah, like parents can be difficult, and it's kind of like, I'm gonna compare it to how people act when they get their food order is incorrect. People do not play about their food orders, and they do not play about their kids. Those are two things that, even the most calm or whatever mild-mannered parent will go to 100 about. And I try to to empathize and like kind of like be where they're at of, some of them, they want to push their kids really hard, or they want whatever out of their kid, and having to manage expectations from parents, and getting them to understand, like, this is where your kid is at, this is how we get them here. Parents, when they're not in class, kind of like micromanaging the, being coach number 2 over there, very different energy than when they're the ones that's the athlete. Very humbled when they're the athlete. And adults are a lot more, I'll say this. I coached 2 types of kids when I was coaching kids. I coached kids who tumbled for recreational purposes, that they're just here for funsies. And I also coach kids that are on competitive teams, and they have goals and metrics that they have to hit. Kids have they're not as like the adults, when they come, because they know that this is not super accessible to them, they are so appreciative of every aspect of learning. Whether it's stretching, they're so engaged with every aspect of it. With the kids, it's like, you gotta convince them to be engaged to do the push-ups because it's gonna help their tumbling. You gotta convince them a little bit more to be engaged to do basics. Whereas adults are excited to do every and anything, when it comes to class. The kids, they want to get straight to, round off back handspring, double full layout, twist, aerial, somersault, whereas the adults, they're so excited about every little thing. They do a forward roll and they get up and they're like, yes, I just rolled, like they're a lot more, they are a lot more humbled, like, when they're now in that learning environment, because especially like in the beginner setting, and honestly any setting, because we teach our classes separated by skill level. We have a beginner class, intermediate class, and an advanced class. And that way, no one's looking over their shoulder at the next person, we got people in here doing standing fulls, and then people, doing forward rolls down the cheese mat. So that way, it makes it easier, and it keeps people safe when you split the skill levels like that. But it's very humbling, and that is why I'm also so I really like to promote adult learning, because it is humbling. And I do think sometimes people, everyone needs to have like humbling experiences and things like that for, character development. And it's very humbling when you put people together and they're all about to learn how to do a cartwheel for the first time. Everyone kind of gets like, self-doubt comes in for everybody. Even the most confident person, experiences, self-doubt in that moment and has to kind of overcome that. So I would definitely say like the parents are a lot more humbled when they are the ones doing the skill versus being coach number two.
With that said, what is your pricing model, and how did you structure that to find something that is going to work for you in the business?
Yeah, good question. Let's just say when I started, I did not know what I was doing. And when I first started, I was offering classes for $12 a class.
Yowie wowie.
Yeah, not good, not good. I was spending so much of my own personal money to meet all the overhead. So now our classes we do drop-in classes just because we don't have the operational bandwidth yet to really do like a membership model where you can come in and take classes on a weekly basis. So we do drop-in classes every month. Our classes are about $42 after tax. And that gets you a 90-minute class. And our classes are capped at 8 individuals per class. So it's, very personalized. It's not like you're in there with a whole bunch of people. One, insurance would kill me if I had like it's 15 pieces. It's not Zumba. I can't structure it like that where there's like 20 people in a class. So I do eight students per instructor, and $42 a ticket. And from making that shift, like we were able to be profitable for the first time last year.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
We have some ways to go. We got some ways to go. Definitely still, that's why I do business programs, different things like that to learn like what can we do to, strengthen our business model, make it, like what other things can we offer? How can we bring things online? How can we, do things that don't require more overhead, and things like that so that we can be more stable, more profitable, and able to grow.
I dig it. Are you born and raised from here?
So I was actually born in Swaziland. I'm half South African. I am half American. Me and my mom moved to Virginia when I was about 3, and I've lived here ever since. So yeah, I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Oh, the Peak.
The Peak. Yes. So I love the Hampton Roads. I'm definitely a Hampton Roads girly through and through.
Okay, so let's say you got.
Is that what the locals call it, Zach? Is it the Peak for short?
Well, I think there's a lot of businesses that use the word peak on things.
Oh.
It depends. It's either called the Peak or Cheesetown, depending on who you're talking to.
Oh, for shizzle.
Cheesetown? Depending on what neighborhood you're in.
Okay, I'm learning a lot today. Okay.
No kidding.
So let's say you got a friend coming in from out of town, and you got to take them to a spot to get some grub, get something, a bite to eat. What's the go-to place that you got to take them to?
Ooh, it depends. Are we focused on the meal or are we focused on the experience? Like what is our number one thing?
All of the above.
Okay. This is a loaded question because I am a foodie. I try everything out here. If I want us to have like a vibe, like, music, all this good stuff, I'm going to probably take them to Only You. Because they have like the DJs in there, they got the lights, they got the aesthetics, get you some cute pictures. You might like the crowd that you might run into in there, and their food is also good. So they have aesthetics plus good food. I might take them to High Street Pizza because Their pizza is just chef's kiss, okay?
The chef's kiss.
I like to say high street. It's like bougie pizza experience, you know. It's yeah. I would probably take them to high street pizza. Now, if we're going somewhere quick, like let's just stop, pick something up. I'm gonna say let's go to Zeke's. I like any Zeke's location, but I especially like the Zeke's on Granby Street just because I just like their vibe in there. Like I just really like the all the Zeeks have a good vibe, but special shout out to Zeeks on Granby Street because they have an amazing vibe. There's art everywhere. They have the best espresso and tonics. So espresso, shot of espresso with tonic water, which is my go-to coffee order. So I love that, and it's healthy. And then last one, Sanctuary. Sanctuary, which is like right around the corner from Zeke's on Granby Street. They have the best tacos, and they got the whole rock and roll vibe, which I like.
Oh, Tim, we've been there.
Oh yeah, man, I've learned a lot on this episode.
I mean, we asked for one. You gave 17. I mean,
I know.
Listen,
this is hard. I eat a lot. Like I go out of my way to try new food spots. So like.
Sanctuary is the place that we went after the Mentor Rodeo when I met SVT with you in like 2016 after the 757, whatever it's called, Accelerate thing. Yeah.
Boy, I have never heard of espresso and tonic before. I never even knew that was a thing.
Oh yeah. Coalescence and Zeke's have the two best, hands down.
So we're adding another. We're adding another store to go. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anything else? I mean,
it's also in Norfolk, coffee shop. The best double shot of espresso and tonic water ever. Coalescence adds like extra different seasonal things.
We found our hype person for the World Cup, I think.
Yeah, I just drink. Yeah, are you so in the middle of the World Cup? Are we gonna get like you're gonna come down on stage and do like a little you're gonna do a little tumble? Okay.
Got you.
Okay. I'll wear yoga pants, right?
There we go. That's it. That's all you need.
Do guys wear yoga pants? Is that
I was just about to ask, like, are there like dude yoga pants?
I'm assuming there is. I mean,
gotta be.
I do not own any, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be quite.
But you have tights. You have tights that you wear when you run. You like a base layer.
Yeah, you can wear that.
I don't know.
No, I'm not wearing those.
I couldn't tell you the last time I wore running tights.
Okay. Anything you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Oh, I mean, this was awesome conversation. Thank you guys so much. I would just, anybody watching this, I would say, like, if you have an idea, even if someone thinks like no one's going to care about that, because that's the reaction I got at first when I tried to say, I want to teach adults how to flip, as a business. They were like, huh, okay. And even now, like, I still get that reaction until I we've hosted 200 classes. We've sold over 2,000 tickets at this point. Don't let anybody tell you that your idea is too quirky or too weird or, keep being weird, stay creative, stay different, push the envelope, and don't give up.
I can't think of a better way to end a show than that. That is perfect.
Enough of us talking. We appreciate it, Nelly. It was great to see you. Like, subscribe, download, whatever that the cool kids say. You want to say it for us? Like, tell how okay, let's hear that.
Yes, y'all, follow me at my at on Instagram is Sanele Lasana, so SANELE LASANA, not lasagna, and follow the squad on IG at adult tumbling 757. And tap in with us. That's what the Gen Z.
I thought she was gonna do it for us. But here she is promoting herself.
Okay. No, I got y'all. Okay, listen, y'all. YouTube, subscribe, tap in, lock in with Innovate. Is it Innovate Hampton Roads 757? Is that the tag?
Hey man, we'll run with it. On the socials, we are Innovate 757.
I thought so. Listen,
Yeah.
yes, tap in, Innovate 757, lock in.
Lock
Pull
in, that's
up.
the word. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Pull up,
lit.
lock in, lit,
Slay.
fire, slay. Okay,
Get
okay.
yourself
I'm
a
learning.
glizzy and lock in.
Oh, let's go. All
Feeling
right.
any Gen Zer yet? Any younger?
I don't know what that is.
It's okay.
I don't like to discriminate against someone's age unless, you know, they've worked past their LASIK surgery, you know.
Wearing progressives.
Yeah, this is a, you know, that's a Gen Z, like, oh, like I
What is
feel you,
this?
like, like that means like I feel you, like we're feeling like this is we're on the
Okay.
same page.
Sure. There you
We're
go.
gonna have to schedule a part 2.
Wow. On Gen Zs. All right. Peace.
Thank you so much. It was a blast.